Hey guys, welcome to episode 16 of Trek Live. In this episode, we're joined by a special guest and to talk to some Discovery. With me, as always, is Bill. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Dan?
Pretty good. A little hot. Um, yeah,
Here we go again.
yeah. um, but I'd like to introduce our first guest, Jordan. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing great, Dan. Glad to be here.
Thrilled to
Yeah,
have you, Dan, Jordan.
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
very unique opportunity.
So Bill and I kind of talked it over, and we thought that our first guest should be like a Trek Live crew member from the audience. So we're excited to have him on and talk some Discovery. Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having like a fresh perspective, different voice. You guys hear from us all the time, so a like-minded, positive, new voice should do a world of good. So, welcome, Jordan, again.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully, I have something to add.
Oh, you do. I know you do. So, Jordan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and like your Star Trek fandom? You know, what does Star Trek mean to you? How did you discover it, so to speak? And yeah, just dive in.
Yeah, well, as you guys have said, my name is Jordan. I really got involved with Star Trek the same way Dan did with the 2009 reboot. And it really took a couple attempts. I remember watching it in the theaters and thinking, yeah, this is pretty cool, but didn't think anything of it. And then later, I had a family member come over, and we had the Blu-ray, and we watched it one night, and I thought, yeah, that's cool. I remember seeing that. And then he wanted to watch it again the next night. And I was like, well, why would you want to watch that? We just saw it. He's like, well, I just wanted to see it again. And that time, I actually paid attention and really kind of got into things. And I said, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Got on Google, did a couple Google searches. Oh, okay, this is what it is, and just kind of went from there. So I was really lucky growing up. I had a family friend who was really big into sci-fi and that kind of thing, Star Trek, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. So I had seen a lot of things. I had seen like Deep Space Nine and all these things. So I had seen these models and these designs, but it was kind of like, oh yeah, that's what that is. So I was like kind of putting things back in my mind and saying, oh, this is what Star Trek is, and then it just kind of kept going from there.
Good. That's awesome. Did you like after '09? Did you dive into the shows? Like, was there a show that you got into first? Like, how did you jump into Star Trek proper after
Yeah.
the big stuff,
So,
the shows and stuff?
yeah, so back then, way back in the beginning of this decade, 2010, I didn't have Netflix or any of those things. So I went to that family friend and I said, hey, can I borrow all your movies? So I borrowed all the movies and watched them over a period of 2 days. I watched
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I watched all of them. All of them were on VHSs except for Nemesis. So I just sat down, went through all of them, and thought, wow, this is great. So I was thinking, how can I get into this more? And I saw that BBC America was doing reruns of TNG, which I now know is like seasons 3 through 5. So of all the Star Trek, season 3 through season 5 of TNG, I've seen pretty much every episode at least once. And really from there, that's when I fell in love with TNG and what it was about. And it was really something that I needed at that point in my life, that kind of sense of optimism.
Yeah.
That real sense of, yeah, we're all going to come together at some point and we're going to really do something. And then, we're just going to have fun along the way with great characters and great storytelling.
So Jordan, we've kind of talked briefly before, but I know you have an interesting strategy to watch. Myself, I'm kind of like a completionist where I have to start it at one point and then just finish it. Is yours like strategy a little bit different than that, or I'm just curious.
Just a little bit. The only seasons of Star Trek that I've seen every single episode of, for sure, that I have without a shadow of a doubt, is Enterprise, because I saw it recently. And it was seasons 3 and 4, and it was mostly because Billy talked me into it. He said, "Oh, you're gonna love it. You just gotta give it a chance," and I did, and I really did like it. So I
Good.
saw some episodes from. I saw the season opener for Enterprise and a couple episodes of season 1, and then I didn't watch it again, and then I just skipped and watched all of season 3 and season 4, and I just loved it. But I just kind of skip around whenever I come home and I'm like, I really want to watch The Drumhead, or I really want to watch Q Who, Or, Bill just posted about Timeless. I just watched that earlier today. So, okay, yeah, that's really,
Good stuff. Glad
yeah,
to
it
hear
looks
that.
like a neat episode. Let me check it out. And I really enjoyed it. So it's just
Awesome.
kind of whatever I see going around. And I also watch a lot of YouTube. So I've seen a lot of clips of episodes, but I don't know what the context is. So if I see that, like I was watching an episode and it had Thomas Riker in the yellow uniform, I was like, I should probably check that episode out. I feel like I should watch it. Went back, watched it, loved it. So it's really just kind of going back and filling in the gaps.
Dang.
That's great. But you do promise someday in the future to start at the beginning and watch every minute of every show and see it as it was intended.
Sometime before I die, I'll sit down and chronologically watch. Well, that's the thing. Should I start with Enterprise and then do Enterprise, Discovery, TOS, TNG, Voyager? Because I feel like that would be kind of interesting. But there's also starting in the 60s and working all the way up to 2017 and beyond.
Yeah, either one works.
Beyond.
As long as you see it all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great to hear. I love hearing those kinds of stories, like how you got in. Yeah, it's just really cool. It's just further proof that 09 did its job.
It really did.
Talking to two guys that got into it and fell in love with it through that movie. It's a lot of people knock it for being like kind of fake track, but it gets a lot of people into it, and it's a good gateway for sure. And yeah, so thrilled to hear that.
Yeah, Jordan. So you've at least seen a little bit of every single series.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of everything. I'd say the series I've watched the most was Deep Space Nine because you have to go through and you have to see the Dominion War and you have to see how all that plays out. And I've seen most of TNG throughout. I'll go back and watch random episodes from here and there, but I've never sat down and said, okay, I'm going to watch all of this season again or that kind of thing. But I'll normally go back and look at the big episodes.
Yeah, so I guess what's your favorite, show character so far?
So far, I think my favorite show would definitely have to be TNG, just because I watched it a lot and it really just had kind of the right vibe. I had seen a lot of these things. Like I knew, oh yeah, LeVar Burton, yeah, he's the one who does Reading Rainbow, and he has those glasses on. It's like, now I know. Okay, yeah, that's where that's from, and all those kind of things. Oh yeah, Worf, yeah, kind of like an alien guy who was like kind of cool. Yeah, it was kind of like I knew of it, but I didn't really know about it. I think one thing that was really big when it clicked was the sound effect for going to war. I was like, oh, that's a Star Trek thing. Like I had heard that, but I didn't know what that was connected to. So it was just kind of plugging in the dots. So I definitely say TNG is my favorite. As for my favorite character overall, I mean that's a big question.
Yeah,
I see the merit in everybody, and I really love everybody in their role. Like I love going back and watching Shatner and just see him act, and it's just so classic, and it's so fun in a way. But then you come and you see someone like Sisko, and you see this really complex character who's kind of going through or went through what it looks like Discovery is going to try to do and play it a little bit more dramatic, have the consequences a little bit larger. And then you have up to Enterprise, you have people like Trip, where it's like they're just really down to earth, and it's like, yeah, I could see me hanging out with this guy. I feel like I have a lot in common here. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I couldn't give you a definitive answer without saying, but also there's 20 other people who are just 0.5 less in favorability.
Yeah. It's like picking your favorite kid.
Yeah.
So I guess just Bill, do you have any other further questions on his fandom?
What's your favorite of the movies, Jordan?
I think without a doubt, and again, this is one of those, 2% less favored for my second choice. But I think my favorite choice definitely has to be Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things for me where it's like I look at it on a franchise level, and I think this is a perfect way to end it. It's satisfying. It's really current. I mean, if you describe Star Trek as, okay, well, it's social commentary, that's the movie that is... it's the most oblivious because it's, the Cold War and whatnot. It's the most obvious. But I feel it's also capitalizing on something that happened in real life, making it relevant to Star Trek, and then also going back and saying, okay, yeah, so this is actually how, what paved the way for people like Worf and characters later on. So I feel like it just does a lot of things at once. I feel like it's got the best look because everything's so sharp, and it takes advantage of, just like Star Trek 2, everybody's getting older.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, everybody, they're not just in stasis doing the same thing. It's like, these are some of our best guys. Why don't we bring them back? Like, everything has that sort of logic to it. And so I just think we're really blessed that it ended on 6 instead of maybe ending on 5, and that would just be, kind of a big lesson. Not to put Star Trek 5
Say the
down,
least.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, you watch the title crawl at the end, or the credits at the end with the signatures, and it's just absolutely perfect with the score over the top. Just couldn't be done any better.
Yeah, I agree. Well put.
Yeah.
And then I think my second would definitely have to be Into Darkness. No,
Gutsy.
just
Gutsy
kind
to
of
even say.
ruffle some feathers. No.
Topic for another day.
Yeah. Did you guys, Bill, I don't know, did you listen to War 5 this week?
I did not.
Oh
No.
my gosh. You have to
What is
watch it. They talked about in Beyond, the Enterprise references in Beyond.
Yeah.
And then they started talking about, Star Trek Into Darkness and the whole Kelvin timeline. And it was just like, you have to watch it because then we can talk about it. Because, there's some controversial statements in that.
Statements?
Yeah. But kind of reeling it back in here, Jordan, I knew exactly. I can think back and remember where I was and how I thought when I first saw the first tweet about Discovery. Not about Discovery, but there was gonna have a new Star Trek show.
Mhm.
When you first learned about a new Star Trek show, what were your thoughts initially?
Initially, it was kind of like, it's about time. I understand I've been alive while Star Trek has been on the air, but I haven't been really cognizant or able to participate in it.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thought was, wow, I'm going to be able to experience something new. And so I was thinking, wow, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to bring it up to friends now. So I was going to be, hey, did you see that new thing? Hey, well, why don't you come watch it with me and whatnot, and get them into that. So it'd be a little bit easier. And I was really just overall excited, and then just wanted to know, okay, yeah, checking the internet all the time. Okay, well, what's the newest news? What's going on? It was just, I had nothing but high hopes and positive expectations when I heard that they were going to be doing that. And then later on, we heard, Brian Fuller's going to be attached, Nicholas Meyer's going to be writing. It could have, it could be an anthology. I remember that was a rumor going for some time. And just everything I heard was just like, okay, so they've got some really good ideas going around here. It's not just going to be, we're just going to start from the beginning and we're just going to remake it. Or we're going to create our own thing here, and we're just going to use the name again. That kind of thing. I was just nothing but excited for it.
Yeah, and I think you're in a really good spot because you're not I don't know, you're a fan, but you're not like us. I don't know how to put it. How you're.
You haven't seen everything 9 times.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you'll have a really fresh perspective, and also I feel like even if the show sucks, I will still love it because I'm just super biased, and I feel like I don't know, your perspective would be like, okay, I haven't seen it all. I'm not totally wrapped up in it. I don't know. So I'm just really excited to hear your take and stuff. So hopefully we can bring you back. For another show.
That's the plan.
Yeah. What do you think of CBS All Access?
There's when I look at Discovery and I think about it, and I was thinking about this recently, I have 2 ways of thinking about it. There's Star Trek Discovery as a show, as a show that's trying to stand on its own and be a Star Trek show and be, culture and that kind of thing. And then there's the corporate side of it, the CBS All Access. And I understand what they're doing because, from a business case, it makes total sense. We've got a known existing property that has a great inbuilt fan base that we're going to use to launch our new service. It makes sense from a business standpoint. But then do I want to pay another, $7 a month for this extra streaming service?
$10 if you don't want commercials.
Yeah, it's $9.99 or something.
Don't even you can't double dip. You either
CBS is gonna try to.
boy. But hey, that'll make it more like old Star Trek, right? You'll have commercials and you get time to think about it and
Yeah.
talk to everybody about what's going on.
Fair enough.
But it's I always find it not hypocritical, but kind of ironic when you hear listening to the Discovery panel, Alex Kurtzman talking about, oh, we want to bring in new fans, but CBS is relying on the old fans to buy CBS All Access because it's not going to be accessible to new fans unless you're in outside of North America. So, if you're just kind of passing by, unless you know somebody else, a Trek fan with CBS All Access, how is somebody new going to see it unless they're willing to commit, $10 a month, or do the free trial, which, some people might be tempted to do, but it only comes out every week. So there'll only be 4 episodes. So they wouldn't get to see the whole thing. So they think, oh, this kind of sucks. I'm not going to pay for this or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
CBS,
I definitely,
Mhm.
I really think that's their toughest sell. Like
Their
the toughest thing
hurdle,
they're gonna
yeah.
have to do is,
yeah.
biggest hurdle for sure is trying to get people to buy in that way. I hope that they're realistic about the fact that this is going to be the most pirated show ever. Like there's going to be a lot of people who just bypass it, but even new people probably aren't going to do that. It's going to be people who, the fans are the ones who are going to seek it out because they're not going to be able to. New people aren't just going to stumble on it. They might stumble on the first episode, but it's going to rely heavily on word of mouth. Yeah, it's a challenge. I'm happy that they're not relying, that we don't have to hear about Nielsen ratings every week. I think that's good for the
Yeah.
show. Science fiction on network television is a tough thing to sustain. Shows are not typically successful in that environment, network TV.
Unless it's on a
So-
sci-fi network.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And if it wasn't going to be on All Access, it would be on, I would imagine, CBS, the network. And it would be under constant Nielsen rating scrutiny. We've been there. You guys weren't there, but I was there and had to watch. I was as interested in the Nielsen ratings for Enterprise as I was like the fan reaction to the episodes because it was important. It was like the ratings dropped too low. You knew it was done. It was going to die. So I'm really grateful that I don't have to worry about that. I think that's a good thing. And I think not having it on the network, you can have episodes that go beyond the 42 minutes that network TV is kind of structured to be around. The episode could be 52 minutes, 56 minutes, kind of like, non-network TV. So these things are all good. There's a lot of good stuff that's going to come from it. But it's going to be a tough sell for the casual person who might just stumble on it otherwise.
And the thing that pushed me over the edge was like, I've already been paying for Star Trek before. I've been paying Netflix. So it's like,
Exactly.
it's not that big a deal to, especially when you're supporting the show. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, when I think about all the money I've spent on Star Trek over the years, it's a drop in the bucket. But
Yeah.
so for me, it's not really about that. It's more about, I hope it finds enough of an audience, and I hope it does its job with bringing new people in somehow, some way.
Mhm.
How do you guys feel about it being released on a weekly basis as opposed to just dumping 15 episodes all at once?
Yeah, because that's what Netflix, some of their shows, they just dump a whole season on you. I guess it's more, to me, it's more old school. And I kind of would like it to be like a bi-weekly because I've never got to experience it like this. So I'm super excited to see how that changes my viewing experience from just being able to binge it in 2 days.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but for me, like as somebody who's waited 12 years for this, like I remember sitting there watching Enterprise as it ended, and I've wanted this for a long time. I'm glad that they're doing it weekly, because if they put it out all at once, I would be that guy who would take off work the day they put it out, and I would blow through all 15 episodes in a day, and that would be it. I'd watch it again 15 times between now and when season 2 comes on. Cross your fingers, hope that happens, but. I'm glad that it's going to have some breathing room and that, you get a week to think about the episode and let it develop slowly over time and not have it be a weekend experience or a day. So I'm okay with it. I'm good with it. I was actually hoping it would be like this. I kind of was afraid that it would be dumped all at once because I know myself. I know what I would do. And, I prefer to tackle it slowly and see it develop and have to think about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, when you dump it all at once, you get, I mean, similar to Daredevil, you watch it and it's like, okay, yeah, this was really good, but then it's done in a weekend and you just forget about it. And maybe you talk to somebody else about it, but it's just, okay, I've seen it done. Whereas if it's released on a weekly basis, then there's more of a reason to talk about it because, oh, do you know what's going to happen next? And you're left hanging on every moment as opposed to, okay, now this has been set up and then it's dealt with, and this is set up and then it's dealt with really quickly. So I feel like it really draws it out and makes it more of an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So real quick, I'm just going to divert your eyes to the chat, and I want to point out that the Jim Morehouse, who's in there, is actually Enterprise Extra. So welcome. We're honored with your presence. Thank you for stopping by. He says he's very tempted by the 15-hour binge. Yeah, and I don't know what it would be like either. I mean, it would feel like one big long episode, and I want to experience one episode at a time, and really get to think about it and experience it slowly and let it wash over me instead of just doing it all in one shot. And so I have to ask you guys, like,
Wow.
when you saw the trailer for the first time, what did you think?
Dan, you can go first.
Yeah.
I was blown away, honestly. Like, I got goosebumps, and like I had to watch it like 8 more times just to get everything and soak everything out. And like I wrote down notes and like it answered questions, and yet it also like made me pose just as many questions. So I don't know. It was crazy. I was gone that weekend, so it was like I got home and then it was just like a nice little release, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I remember watching when the very first teaser came out, and I thought, okay, yeah, this is kind of interesting. They're showing that they're really looking into things, and they're not just trying to do things basic. But everybody was complaining about like the CG and stuff. But I thought that, okay, this is a good way to take it. I'm excited. Then that second trailer came out, which was the first with actual footage, and I thought, wow, this looks great. I was super excited. And then this latest trailer came out, and I got about 20 seconds in before I had to pause it and just take a second to breathe and think, wow, this looks absolutely phenomenal. I can't believe this is happening in my lifetime. I was just overcome thinking about it. I didn't expect to be like that, but I was just, wow, this just looks like something that there's really a lot going on and lots of little things to be super excited about, and just nothing but high hopes.
Yeah, the trailer, it was like...
Yeah, I the exact...
Go ahead. No, you can go.
No, I was just going to say that for me, I actually had to pause it and catch myself a little bit, because it was pretty apparent right off the bat that it was gonna be special. And like the thing that comes to mind immediately when I think about it is we are getting like top of the line, absolutely state of the art television for Star Trek, and it's incredible. Like the previous shows were beautifully produced television. TNG through Enterprise are great shows that hold up really well, but this is ridiculous. I mean, I was really sitting there thinking, I love the Kelvin Timeline movies, and I think they look great. I think they have a great look, great vibe. And I was sitting there thinking, I think this looks better. Like, I think it's almost, and it doesn't. I mean, it's TV. It's just TV on a huge scale, but it rivals it, and it's TV. It's amazing. And the fact that they're clearly going for big involved storyline that really goes week to week. Serialization is crazy. It's really cool. It's something. It's going to be something totally different that we've never seen before, on every level, story-wise, visually. I love the cast already. Not even just from the trailer. I watched interviews with them.
Oh, their interviews, yeah.
They're awesome. They already look like they're like totally synced in, and they feel like they've been doing it together for a long time. So I think it's going to be something special. I really do. I have almost no doubt at all. I'm totally bought in on this show. It cannot get here fast enough, and I try really hard to just ignore some of the negativity that's out there. I die a little inside. I go to the YouTube like twice a day. I go to the YouTube trailer on YouTube, and I scroll down and I make the mistake of even glancing at the comments.
Cancer
I'm
down
like,
there.
it's deadly. I just can't do it anymore. It's just I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know. I just don't understand it.
Well, speaking
in
about
short, I'm just beyond excited.
Yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of the negativity, what do you think? Where do you think a lot of that's coming from? Do you feel like a lot of that's okay? This is something new, and they don't want to like it until they watch it, or is it Star Trek is in this time period? It looks like this. It doesn't have this look. It looks too much like the J.J. Abrams stuff. What do you think is the main source of the negativity?
I think there's always, with every show, there's always been pushback, and there always will be pushback, and I don't know. That's my thoughts. Like, you can't please everybody. Just use that as fuel, I guess, and make a great show. That's what I would. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's always been. I don't think there's been a show that's come along that was universally accepted off the bat. I was conscious and aware of the lead up to Enterprise. I've talked about this before, and a lot of the negativity that surrounded that show as it was coming out, and it was hampered by that for a lot of its time on the air, all of its time on the air, really. And I think people have an idea in their head of what they want. I think people are. I hear this a lot too, and I really don't get it. I think I see a lot of comments by people who are frustrated that it goes back in time, in quotes. It doesn't go forward. It's not beyond Voyager and Nemesis and into the future. They seem to think that by going into the 23rd century, it becomes like a period piece, like it's old school, and it's not in the future anymore, which is ridiculous to me. And it has the Kelvin timeline kind of look, which isn't really the Kelvin timeline. It's just 21st century production values.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's what I see. And as somebody who loves the Kelvin timeline movies, it just doesn't bother me. I think the Kelvin. I think Brian Fuller leaving, that controversy, that the delays, there were things that were happening early on that got people off on a sour foot, I guess. And then they saw a picture of Klingons and saw that they shifted it a little bit, changed it up a little bit, and people just can't. Some people just can't get beyond change.
Beyond.
I don't know. I try not to think too much about it because it's depressing, and to me, that people just can't, be optimistic and appreciate that we're getting state-of-the-art Star Trek on television after 12 years of having nothing. So, Jim's asking, can you imagine the day Trek does actually go forward from Voyager? There will be just as many people trashing those decisions. I just ignore it all. Yep, exactly. No matter what, you can go on to look at the YouTube comments if you dare, look at Facebook comments, and you see like contradicting criticisms, like people who are just coming from all different angles and hating it for all different reasons that contradict each other. So there is just no pleasing them until it's on the air, and people either buy in or they don't. And I also, real quick, the last thing I'll say on it too is I think it's just natural for people to, I think you're more likely to see comments from people who don't like something than you will from people who do. I think if you're excited and you're happy, you watch it, you get pumped, you turn it off, and you wait. If you get angry at it, if you're negative towards it, they're the people who are going to sit and type a 6-paragraph dissertation on how they hate it before it's even here.
Yeah.
So I think it's. I've heard Larry Nemechek say it on Trek FM podcasts and such, that there's a silent majority of fans out there who are perfectly happy and excited.
Yep.
And I do kind of believe that. I think the negative Nancys of the world are just louder than the positive people on in pretty much anything in any arena. So.
And the thing is, it's like this is not a new thing. Like I feel like Star Trek has always pushed the boundary of production values and production scales since TOS until the end of Enterprise. You know, they've always done that. So I don't see why fans get so butthurt about, you know, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, the telling thing for me with the Klingons especially is Gene Roddenberry himself changed the look of the Klingons the minute he had money. Like, as soon as there was a budget to play with the motion picture, the Klingons didn't look the way they did anymore.
No.
He completely revamped the look, and then he revamped the look again in TNG. So it's to me, you just have to use your imagination a little bit. Just buy into the creative license of it, that production values, and it's a TV show. You know, it's going to change over time. It has to evolve over time, and it should take advantage of what's available from a production standpoint, what you can afford to do. And I'm fine with it. You know, if I was designing it, would I have done some of the things that they did? Maybe not, but I'm confident in my ability to accept them as Klingons, as characters, once I see it on screen. And it is what it is. I don't need a detailed explanation about why they look different, or, you know, like some people are clamoring for. And it just is what it is.
I hate when I have to get spoon-fed stuff. Like, just let me use my imagination. That's why I enjoy Star Trek. So.
Yeah. I think I definitely say my favorite is everybody who says, "Oh, this isn't my Star Trek," as if there's some sort of gatekeeper and they know exactly what it is. People are basing all of Discovery on this 2-minute trailer, which is really just there to build hype.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't explain why the Klingons look different. I hope that they would, just because I think it would just be kind of neat and cool. But if they just changed it to change it, it doesn't bother me. It's an interesting design. But there's aspects of the show that we haven't seen yet, other than that one
scene. A lot of it.
Yeah, other than that one scene in the second trailer where Michael Burnham walks into that room, which basically looks like they're going space weed. Like, we know that there's this whole, space focus is such a large part of the plot that they have a character whose sole job is to know and research this. So that's obviously a huge aspect which hasn't even been looked at yet, which has, great typical Star Trek potential of understanding and exploring what this is and how it can be used in whatever way the writers deem. So there's so much to just kind of just wait, take a breath. If it's not your cup of tea, then you have to at least watch the first couple episodes. If you don't like it, then you've got a case, as opposed to really nothing to stand on now, other than it doesn't look like it was filmed in the 60s or the 80s.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, judge it on its merits, for sure. That's the only way to do it. I mean, who can to judge it on a 2-minute trailer that is designed to appeal to, to use action and explosions and excitement to grab you in 2 minutes is just silly. It's not 50 minutes of that every single week. And you're right. Like, there are things that we're learning now just in snippets. I had no idea that Shazad Latif is an actor who's in it, playing Lieutenant Tyler is the character's name. And he gave an interview and revealed that he's like a POW. He was like dealing with that. He's a recovered or rescued POW. And there's so many wrinkles to it that we have no idea about yet. That's a new detail, and there's stuff coming out about the cadet that Mary Wiseman, I think her name is playing, Cadet Tilly. There's characters that we know nothing about. There's storylines that we know nothing about. We in the grand scheme of things, we know nothing about this show. Everything is a theory. Everything is a guess. And what little we can discern from the trailer is coming from the first episode or two, very likely. Not the entire first season. And and the other thing that I really feel strongly about too is just from listening to people who make the show, people like Ted Sullivan, who I've talked about a lot on this, just following him on Twitter. This guy knows his stuff. He's a legitimate fan. A couple of the other writers as well. I follow them all on Twitter. I see them talking about the show. They're talking about, deep cut references talking about the cosplay is Bashir and O'Brien playing racquetball in like the season 2 episode. It's not very good. Like these guys know their stuff. They really do. And I think we're in really good hands. I think we're in better hands than anybody realizes at this point. The people who are writing it, I don't think they're going to do anything that's going to be harmful to the legacy of Star Trek. I think that's silly to be worried about, and a lot of people just kind of are. It's unfortunate. But. Did anything stand out to you guys? Like what from the trailer, like specifically? Is there something that like grabbed you as like really positive, really exciting? A character, anything, an image, like anything just really stand out to you? Either one of you guys?
I had just a lot of it during the trailer. Like I had so many emotions. Like I would like laugh. I would be really intense. I'd get goosebumps, and it's like, especially when the Rainn Wilson clip came in, I was like, yes, let's go. So I definitely think the Klingon definitely stood out to me. Just Klingons in general. I'm really excited to see them explore that side.
Yeah, me too. I am too.
And then I get like a mysterious, like a bad guy vibe from Jason Isaacs' character?
Captain Lorca. Yeah.
Captain Lorca. I don't know. But yeah, those are kind of my first general thoughts.
Jordan, anything for you?
I really enjoyed the aesthetic look. I felt there were a lot of good colors mixing around. The one thing with the Kelvin timeline, I understand that they're movies, so things have to be more streamlined. Like the overall color seems to be that really fluorescent blue. And so you see that in the deflector and the nacelles and Chris Pine's eyes and just kind of the general look. Whereas here it's like you're on the bridge and it's kind of blue lens flare, but then you're looking at the ships and it's more of like a copper. So I really feel like there's a lot of different visuals going on, which is really exciting. And when I look at each of the individual shows, all 6 of them now, I really try to think of them as like a piece in time. So TOS is that cowboy diplomacy where you've got to, you're trying to do the right thing, but you've also got to understand in the back of your mind what's right. And then you move into TNG, which is the Gene Roddenberry utopia, where everything is perfect, and then you can, you solve all these other dilemmas. Deep Space Nine is how do you defend that, and how do you realistically keep that utopia going in the face of external threat? And I feel like Discovery is kind of setting up why TOS and Kirk was the way he was. Because Discovery seems to be more in the fleet, like TNG was, where it's a little bit closer, so there's a little bit more interaction, whereas TOS, they're more on the frontier. So it's more so you have to be self-sufficient. So it's interesting to see a new dynamic, but you also sort of know where it's going. So you can kind of look for that general tone shift in terms of how the characters deal with something like the Klingons and so forth.
Yeah, really cool stuff. Really well said, Jordan. Jim, that moment when the Delta charted out in the sand when the Shenzhou flew by, that is when I paused it. That's when I was like, okay, I'm not ready for this. So I need to go take a walk before I sit and watch the rest of this. That was awesome. Jason Isaacs does typically play bad guys, Adam. Yeah. And it's interesting. I'm curious to see. I'm hoping that he's not. I agree with you, Adam. I definitely get that vibe. There's wrinkles to him, and he kind of, even in his interviews, he kind of implies that. He's an effed up guy, he keeps saying. He's a messed up guy. I'm kind of hoping that they don't go that way. That's like one thing that I'm kind of hoping they don't do. Like, don't take the easy way and cast Jason Isaacs as just like the bad dude captain, who like slowly gets revealed over time. I hope he's a good guy that has some things to deal with, some challenges. But I'm down. I want to see it more than anything. I just want to see it play out and see what they have in mind.
Yeah, Jim, totally agree. Yeah. I feel like that's been done a lot, and especially his line where it's like, you may have started the war. Do you want to help me end it? It's just like so mysterious and like so
Mhm.
like I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
nervous for
Yeah,
that.
and I think the fact that it is Jason Isaacs plays that up. Like you when you see Jason Isaacs, you kind of expect him to be, you know, this dude's not
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
He doesn't. He never plays a good guy. He played a guy in The West Wing. I remember, like he was like a foreign correspondent photographer or something. But that's the one time that I think I've seen him not play a bad dude, like somebody not causing trouble. Um, so I think he just naturally. I'm hoping that's what it is. I'm hoping he just kind of naturally pulls that out of us, and I hope they play with that in an interesting way to, have more texture than just that in his character. And I'm hoping that's the smart way they go with it, and not the simple.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a bad guy that we slowly figure out as time goes on. But as long as it's done well, we got to see it done and see how they develop it and see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, at this point out, it's hard to think about anything without just kind of going into speculation. When I see Jason Isaacs as Captain Lorca, I really think of Cisco from In the Pale Moonlight. And in that time period, it was a utopia, so there was a more clear sense of what's right and what's wrong. But in this pre-TOS era, you really, in some instances, you really have to shoot first if you want to, be able to get people home. So I think it'd be interesting to look at that, where it's like, what does somebody do when they have to make these tough choices that aren't morally sound, and how do they play out in somebody who's maybe doesn't feel as bad about it? Maybe they understand this is how you have to be out here. This is the final frontier. You can't make it out here and get X amount of people on your ship home unless you're like this. And if it costs your character, that's the price you pay.
Yeah, it's more like the Wild West instead of like Sunshine and Rainbows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still
Yeah.
building up to that. So you can see that, people serve their purpose. And going back to Star Trek 6, you see Kirk kind of seeing he served that purpose of that generation, and now they're moving into the next generation, and can he adapt? And can you move into this? Okay, now it's not about shooting first. We have the technology, or we're enlightened, or we're going to be enlightened. So we're going to really think this through, as opposed to, okay, well, let's get in a position of power first and then dictate from a position of strength as opposed to a position of equals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great thought. If that's the way they go, like Jim's saying right here in the chat, that's a great way to go. That's interesting. That's dynamic. That's different. It's not a simple way to go, and I hope that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds. If I had to guess, that's probably the direction they're going in, because they seem to be talking about a lot when I hear the showrunners talking in the panel I listen to, and some of their interviews, that they're really going to play up this. It's different now. They're in a time of war and trying to figure a lot of things out. So I hope you're right, Jordan.
I hope so too.
Real quick, just one of the other things that really stands out to me is I think Michael Burnham is going to be spectacular.
The whole cast.
The actress, Sonequa Martin Green, is dynamite. I think they nailed that. She looks awesome. Everything I hear about the character is fascinating. I love the idea of a human, being raised and indoctrinated into Vulcan society. I think that's a totally unique, cool flip on like the idea of Spock and some of the other outsider characters that we've had in the past. I can't wait to see what they do with that. I think that's going to be really cool. I have no problem with the idea of her being raised by Sarek, because if memory serves, this is like really like canon, porn kind of stuff. Like I'm thinking, but I think Spock says something along the lines of, "I haven't spoken to my father in 30 years." When in Journey to Babel in TOS, and I don't know. I think it's kind of feasible that maybe Spock doesn't even really know. I don't know, because at this point he's off on the Enterprise and he's off on his career. I don't know. I'm just totally open-minded to it, and clearly, Spock. Somebody posted on Twitter today. Somebody wrote up like all the different times in Star Trek history a given character, reveals a family connection like years and years and years down the road, and they kind of come up out of nowhere. this is not the first time that would happen, including from Spock. With Sybok, you know, he didn't mention Sybok until Sybok was standing in front of him, for better or worse with that movie. But I don't know. I'm totally fine with it. I want to see it play out. And they said specifically in the panel, like, we get it, we know it's going to be explained. Be patient. So I don't know. I'm just totally bought in on the concept of the character. The idea of, like I said, a human being raised on Vulcan and having like both of those things within her, like being a fully fledged human and having all that humanity in her, all the emotion in her, but having these Vulcan ideas, you know, kind of implanted in her brain. I think it's a unique spin, a cool idea.
Yeah.
And I think the actress is dynamite. I think she's perfect from what I've seen.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and not to dip too much into speculation, but we pretty much know at some point in this 2-episode pilot that she's going to make some sort of decision that casts her out from the rest of Starfleet or her shipmates or whatever. Maybe that's a decision that casts her out from Sarek as well, and so she's since never been mentioned because she's been disowned in a way. So I mean, as long as you explain it and it's a rational, plausible explanation, you can do whatever you want in my eyes.
Yeah, Jim, I've seen that too, and that does make a lot of sense given what we know now. That, you know, Brian Foley did clearly say that there is something in TOS that this is going to build from, and given what we know now, that seems like a pretty natural connection. I think that's probably it. Yeah, he did have to step away from his duties to deal with something, and that seems to be it. I definitely think that's the way they're going. Everyone should rewatch Journey to Babel. Where is Journey to Babel on Trek ranks? Where does it rank? It's always the question. I think it's 12 for me. 12 or 13. It's up there. It's a classic. So, Jordan and Dan, you both have to rewatch Journey to Babel.
Yeah,
I'll get there.
Top 20. It's a good one.
So another question that I see being talked about a lot on the like the Star Trek subreddit and so forth is the visual change and the technology differences. Does that bother you guys in any way? I mean, I understand, you know, chronologically through the years, production values have gotten better, so what you can do has gotten better. But now that they have the money, that they're trying to pack in as much detail as they can. So you have these hyper detailed Klingons. They've changed little things like the way the Batleth looks. They've changed the aesthetic for Starfleet. So now they have these uniforms, but then they have to change, or the classic TOS uniforms have to be added somehow. So how do you feel about that? Does that bother you guys at all, or?
It doesn't bother me because like we've seen changes like this before, but I think, I don't know, just seeing some of the props and stuff, like you can see it's like TOS-esque, like especially like the communicator, the phaser, definitely, and I'm definitely just big on detail, especially the Klingons, like their armor and, you know, the helmets and stuff like that. I think this is like, if they had the budget in 1960s, they would have done it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I guess, Mike, like what technological differences are they talking about? Like the one thing that does, I see it and I'm like, is the it seems like they're playing up, especially with like the Sarek scenes, like this holographic communication thing they had.
Yeah.
That is like kind of like, I don't know. I don't think I would have done that. Other than that, nothing really stands out as like a drastic technological difference. I don't know. I mean, the detail stuff I'm totally fine with because, like Dan said, the real answer to that, the only answer to that is this is the stuff they would have done if they had money. Like, it's just strictly a production thing. The Klingons look the way they look in Errand of Mercy because they had no money, not because they were designed to look that way, not because Gene Roddenberry had it in his head that this is the way Klingons are supposed to look. They were constricted with what they were able to do, and that's the simple answer for me. I other than the holographic communication that I want to see what they do with it. I want to see like how they use it, like what's going on there, and just because that kind of stands out to me. I think about that episode of Deep Space Nine for the uniform, which is a great episode, where they have the holographic communicator and they're like treating it like, whoa, this is new, this is different, and it's like groundbreaking, and they never really use it again. But
Mhm.
it's this new technology, and they seem to be doing that in Discovery, and that's kind of like I said, that's something I probably would not have done. But other than that, I don't really see anything other than strictly production stuff that stands out to me as like, whoa, that's like a big difference from TOS. The Batleth, like it's pretty clear that they're playing up these Klingons as being like very, I don't know if they're ancient, but there's something there.
Like a subculture. Like we've seen
Yeah.
we've seen subcultures in different alien species
Mhm.
before. Like the Andorians, they have a subspecies. Yeah.
Yeah, the Enar, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Romulans and the Remans, like they've done stuff like this before. And I'm just that kind of stuff really doesn't bother me. To me, it's added texture, and everything they said, honestly, at the panel. I don't know if you guys watched the actual panel itself. They put it out, I think, yesterday.
Mhm.
But everything they said about the Klingons and what they're hoping to do with the Klingons is music to my ears. Like, it sounds like it's all about adding depth, playing up that they come from different places. They have, this house has different ideas than that house. They did a little bit of that in TNG with like Redemption. I know that's Jim's number one. I do know that TNG episode of all time, Redemption. They do go into that a little bit with Klingon rivalries and the Civil War and all that stuff. But if this really plays into that and expands on that and shows that the Klingons are not one, like not all the same, that they come from different places and have different ideas, and that they inner turmoil like every other society must have. I think that's good for Star Trek and for the Klingons. I think it's going to make the Klingons better. I really do. I'm totally pumped for that aspect of the show. And I think, Dan, you said that too. When I asked like what stuff really stood out to you, you said the Klingons. And I'm kind of right on board with you. When I see Takuvma, Chris Obi character, I'm like, yes, he looks badass.
Yeah.
And scary in a way that the Klingons never really have. I'm excited that they're doing that.
And especially like because the Klingons are probably my favorite species, so I'm like super pumped to like you said, to get some more get the species fleshed out more. So
that's the thing; they already are. They are really fleshed out. We know a lot about their history and their tradition, and their whole dynamic is really fleshed out. It's been really well done over the course of time. But there's always room for more, and because they are there's so much there that's been built over 50 years. Just because it's been there for 50 years doesn't mean you shouldn't go back to it and you shouldn't further expand. I mean, they're the Klingons. They're like, when people think of Star Trek, the Klingons are like one of the first things that come to mind for just everyday people, let alone the fans. So if they can make them that much better and expand and add depth, then that's great. I think that's what they're going to do. So.
Yep.
Does anything stand out to you guys? Like anything else? Anything you want to throw out there? Random thoughts? Other stuff?
I don't know. What do you guys think of? I keep coming back to it because I'm like in love. But what do you guys think of Rainn Wilson? I mean, no, I know he had like just like a small little line, and what do you think? Did they think you guys think that they got the look right?
Well, I couldn't speak to that because I haven't seen any of the episodes.
Oh no, you're not missing much.
I read the description, but I have not seen it. I think there's only 2, right?
There's 2.
Yeah, so I haven't. And I mean,
Not
of course,
TOS
now I have to. But he looks interesting. I mean, I can't say, oh yeah, he looks right, because that's what I remember from. I just haven't seen it. I just haven't.
You're not missing much with those episodes, but I feel like maybe just like 15 minutes each episode, get the gist of it, and then
yeah, you definitely have to check them out just to get the vibe of Harry Mudd. I don't know. I love Rainn Wilson. The Office is one of my favorite shows of all time. So if Rainn Wilson's in, I'm in. I think it might be. I mean, to me, changing the Klingons, doing what they're doing there is gutsy. They made some big calls, risky stuff. I think the riskiest thing they're doing is bringing Harry Mudd back, just because he almost nothing about his character has like aged well. nothing about his character. There's not a lot good there. The actor's good. Roger Carmel plays him in TOS. He's funny, I guess. He's got a very distinctive personality.
Redemption, though. Redemption.
It's a really gutsy move to reintroduce that character and to try to do something new with it. To try to, I don't know. I honestly have no idea what to even think. I think the look is okay. I think it's good. He looks a little older than he does in those episodes. But I don't know. I really don't know. I'm open-minded. I love Rainn Wilson. Like I said, I'm sure he's going to kick butt. He's going to do a great job. He seems to know his track.
For me, it's like the Klingons and all that stuff is definitely risky, but I feel like I have confidence that they'll do well with it. But like with Mud character, I feel like he's like the wild card and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what is gonna happen with that character, so that's why it's so intriguing to me. So and why I'm so excited for it.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I definitely found interesting, and I know Dan, you and I have talked a lot about this like off air and on the episodes, I think too a little bit. But we've both like been notorious for like we peruse IMDb to look for details, like how many episodes here, how many episodes. A lot of that stuff's not necessarily reliable, and I think IMDb says that Rainn Wilson's in like 9 episodes or something. In the panel, he pretty clearly says I did too. He said I did a couple of episodes. I was only there for a couple of episodes. So I don't think he's a driving force in the season. I think he comes and goes. I think he's in and out, which is what I kind of expected until I don't know where I heard something or I read something that may have indicated that he was going to be around longer than that. He was going to play a bigger part. And then IMDb has this bigger number. So I'm thinking, oh man, he's going to be like really involved. I wonder what they're doing with this. Yeah. But 2 episodes makes a lot more sense to me. So yeah, I agree with you, Jim. Rainn Wilson's going to kill it.
Yeah, he is.
That's what the character is. I think the stuff that you see in Mud's Women can easily be kind of ignored. Exactly what he's doing. I don't think we need to delve into all that. Like, however many 10 years before, like he hasn't started doing that yet. Yeah. you don't have to go there. I don't anticipate seeing any of that stuff. So I think it'll be fine. I think Rainn Wilson's going to be great, and I think they'll find something new and maybe improve that character, which can't hurt. And if there is much about like connecting dots and making things make sense leading into TOS as they say they are, maybe they find some cute way to make it all kind of work and they could make even more sense. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say it can only add to TOS. Mm-hmm. I mean, they set up a story where there's all this stuff going on, but now they've finished it and they've got this new mission. It's to they truly explore the final frontier. They build these Constitution class ships. They send them out. It's a whole tone shift in how they do things. That's only great there, and there's just so much to love and so much potential, and it really gets me hyped. And it also adds one of my favorite things to Star Trek, which is you're able to really take it literally. Mm-hmm. Like in TOS, I've told Bill from time to time that when I watch it, I see it almost as like a play.
Yeah.
So it's like, they're doing the best they can, but it's really more about the performances and the story, and it's not so much the tech. Whereas you get to TNG and Deep Space Nine, and it's now happening as you see it. You don't have to make up, you see there are force fields, they'll touch it. You see there's a force field there. You don't have to kind of make it up in your mind. And then in Discovery, they take it one step further where, that's how an emergency bulkhead works. It protects the ship. Yeah, if the floor is blown out, there's no gravity. Mm-hmm. So it's like you can really take it and you can really see, oh yeah, all these cool things are going on and I can take it at face value. And this is really how it would be. And I can invest myself in the tech more than kind of, okay, well, he says fire phasers, but then they look like photon torpedoes and that kind of thing. Or, you have phaser control, which doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not like a battleship where you have to relay down and they have to load the cannons and then fire. But
right. Yeah, totally agree. Trying to think, what else?
Well, I'd ask you guys 2 questions. One, this is a TV show set 10 years before TOS. Do you think there'll be any time jumps? Do you think it'll be okay? We've done season 1. Do you think season 2 would pick up right after? Do you think they'd move it a couple years into the future? And then also, how long do you think this should run?
Oh
Do you
well.
think? I mean, would you do 5 seasons like Breaking Bad and make it short and sweet? Would you do the Trek staple of 7? Would you do 3 seasons in? Okay, now let's start another series.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough
They're
question.
big questions.
I mean, it's a bit much to say. Okay, well now we haven't even gotten the show out. What else are we going to do? But I mean, you've always got to have in the back of your mind where do you want things to go? Because this is the rebirth of Star Trek.
I
in a
think,
sense.
real quick, I'll just say that I think that because production values are what they are today, and the format that the show is clearly going for, I think they can do anything. I think there's kind of I'm down for anything. If they want to jump ahead and go ahead a few years, I don't know. It all depends on kind of how this season plays out. How big the storyline is, how much time it covers, where things are left at the end of the first season. I don't know. I hope it goes for 7 years because I'm just conditioned that a successful Star Trek show, like successful as far as like public and, I don't know. I don't know how to put that because to me, Enterprise and TOS are perfectly successful TV shows. But the big 3 that lasted 7 years, I'm just kind of conditioned. That's what Trek shows should go. So I think if it goes 7 years, that's perfect. But I don't know. I think there's something to be said too about like how Galactica did it and how Breaking Bad did it, having like a concise, it's going to be 5 years, it's going to be 4 years, and that's it. I think. I get the distinct impression that this Klingon storyline is going to be the major driving force, clearly, of the first season, and they have a very distinct beginning, middle, and an end to this story. So I think season 2 would be something fresh and different. I imagine. I don't know that, though. I mean, I don't know. I guess the short answer is I don't know yet. But I hope we get many years of it, and I hope that they find all kinds of different, unique ways to play with time and different kinds of storylines, and do what they have to do. Like, don't be shy, don't be conventional. Like, be bold, do different stuff. Like, the show is clearly stepping outside the confinements of what we've had in Star Trek for the past 50 years. So I hope they keep pushing the envelope and doing different things. And if that means jumping around and doing different things, then so be it. Do it. As long as it's good, as long as the story's good and it's exploring something new that fits the series that they're building here. The first season, I'm down. What about you, Dan? Like, do you have any ideas in your head about what?
The fan in me just wants 7, but
Yeah,
I would love to just be like the last episode is like, they meet with the Enterprise and then it's like the TOS Enterprise and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
They could do that. Like, I'd love to see like them try to incorporate maybe, some other species that's from the show, or from maybe some callback to Enterprise. I don't know.
Yes.
Get Jeffrey Combs on the phone to come play Shran again and bring in. I don't know. It could go any direction, I guess. I'm guessing the writers definitely have like an end goal, obviously, but I feel like it's just dependent on the network and finances and stuff like that.
Excessive.
But to me, it's like I think they're investing too much time and too much money and energy just to have like 1 or 2 seasons. So I feel like it's definitely gonna definitely have some longevity there. But I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes. Obviously.
Yeah. Because I also think about it, as a fan, and then also from more of a corporate perspective, you have Star Trek, the original expanded universe. You had TV shows, movies happening at the same time in universe, where events would, talk to one another in a sense. Yeah. What do you think the goal should be of Discovery? Obviously, the first goal is put Star Trek in the 21st century in terms of storytelling, visual effects, and so forth. But do you think it's now we're going to make a new expanded universe? Because when I think about it, I think, okay, you can't. Everybody knows Kirk, Spock in the original Enterprise, but I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to reboot reboot it again? Or are you going to do it with TNG? What are you going to do? Because at some point, this is going to be somebody's classic Star Trek, and that's going to be the old stuff, and they're going to say, "Oh, I only like the new stuff." So you've got to create a new universe in that sense. And are you going to do something like with the CW where they have, multiple TV shows all going on at the same time? Because then, I mean, imagine if you had 3 Star Trek shows running at the same time on CBS All Access.
We had 2 for a long time.
Yeah.
Back in the day. The entire time Deep Space Nine was on, it was the second show.
Yeah.
So we've been there, done that. And I would like to see that. I mean, if the desire on CBS's part is there, and the story opportunities are there to do something additional, this is why I actually, deep down, I kind of root for CBS All Access. I want it to succeed, and I want it to succeed because of Discovery. Because if it succeeds because of Discovery, they're going to want more. I think if they know that that's a group of people that can support it to a certain extent and will buy in, I can see them saying, "Where's the next one? Where's more? Let's fill more of our year than 15 weeks with Trek content." And sign me up for that. I'd love to see that because I'm not like a lot of fans who just are kind of single-minded about where they want the show to go, where it has to be like ahead of Voyager and just keep going forward. Going backwards bad. I think there's so many points in the timeline that are worth exploring, and including beyond Voyager. I'm not saying going beyond Voyager is a bad idea. I think there's a story opportunity there, and there are countless others along the timeline that is Trek. So I think our best bet is for, I'm not trying to be a CBS salesman here or anything, but like CBS All Access to succeed,
Yeah.
and for Discovery to be the driving force behind that success. Because if it is, I think we'll get more. I think that's good for Trek. I think the worst thing for Trek is for CBS All Access to tank and Discovery to go down with it. I think if that happens, like some people, I see comments of people saying, cancel this, kill it now, then that's going to be it. That's going to be it for a while. We're not going to get more. It's going to be a long time before we get more again. So.
Hey, Bill, is that an open check from CBS there in the background?
Yeah, is that a T-shirt and hat and all that?
No, they haven't paid me yet. I wish, but no, it's truly what I feel. I mean, I'm not, a corporate cheerleader kind of guy. I'm not sitting here going, yeah, CBS, Big Brother, kill it. I think that's what's best for the show. I think if you're a Trek fan and you want a lot of content and you want this to be the beginning of the next, if you want this to be like 1987 with TNG coming on and it kicking off this next golden age of, 18 years of new Star Trek stuff, the way that's going to happen is if this is successful. Any other way, you're not going to get that. I've seen people say, hey, if CBS All Access stinks, it doesn't go well, and Discovery is a good show, it'll just go to Netflix, and that'll be that. I don't know. Maybe that happens, but I don't think CBS is real excited about that. I don't think that's like a necessarily great outcome. It might save Discovery for a little bit. It might sustain itself for a little bit that way, but I don't know that that's going to excite CBS to, keep going and do more and think that this is the gold mine that they think it is right now. So I don't know. I just feel really strongly that as much as it pains people to do, I think CBS All Access's success and is in all our best interests, and I think we should support it as much as we can. It's just where I stand right now. So, yeah, I'm getting off my soapbox. I'm done my corporate defense for the week.
The defense rests.
The defense rests. Exactly.
For me, it's like I don't want to get too ahead of, like, especially CBS, to get too ahead of themselves. Even if this first season is successful, everybody wants a movie deal, everybody wants a new show to come up. So I feel like they should, focus their energy, build that foundation again.
Exactly.
And
Make
then
this a good show.
yeah, and then kind of start exploring the possibilities with a new show. I know
Exactly.
it's really tough, especially when something's so popular. It's definitely a tough thing to do, but I think
Yeah.
sometimes they just have to take a chill and be like, all right, let's just focus our energy and make a great show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stretch together a couple of really good seasons. Kill it in season 1, repeat that success in season 2, and just get in this habit of just producing great television on a yearly basis, and see where it goes from there. I think if that's where it's going, if that's what's going to happen, if CBS All Access and everything around it is successful and it's perched up enough to sustain a show like Discovery for a period of years and it's good, I think nothing but good things are going to come. And that's our best bet to have this next golden age of Trek.
I'd love to see the contracts of the actors, because that's usually a telltale sign. Yeah, I'm guessing it's just like a 1-year deal, and then after that it will change because
I
don't know.
Yeah, because I think I think the actors in like TNG and DS9 were all signed to 6-year deals. With like option for a 7th or something. And I don't know about the other shows. I guess Voyager and DS9 or Voyager and Enterprise are probably the same. So yeah, you're right. That would be an interesting question. How long are these actors signed?
And I think in the Kelvin timeline, it was like 1-year deal with Star Trek 09, and then after that they extended it to 2. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but
I mean, at the end of the day, it's entirely, even that if they signed them to a 6-year contract, it's on Discovery to be good for them to keep picking it up. If the show's not good, it's not going to go 6 years just because they signed that deal. But you're right. If they sign them to that kind of a deal, then that indicates that they have their eye on a series that's going to run, for an extended period of time. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to they have to make it good. It has to be a good show. If it's not a good show, then none of it really matters. And I think the lesson from the last week, is, for me, everything that I've seen has pointed me in the direction that it's going to be a good show. That's just me. I'm call me an optimist. You guys both know me pretty well, as far as Star Trek goes, and that I'm like a cheerleader and I'm positive and I get excited about everything. They show a picture of a phaser and I'm like giddy. I want to leave work because I can't sit there and be productive as I'm looking at this picture of a phaser on my computer at work. So I'm an easy one to win over. So maybe I'm not the best barometer for this, but I'm completely sold, completely won over, and I'm gonna love it. Like the odds of me not pumping my fist saying 10 out of 10 on September 24th are pretty low. That's probably going to be where I'm at. But I hope it's warranted. I hope it's a good show, and I hope it's not just me being a cheerleader because it's Trek. I hope it's legitimately good, and other people feel the same way.
Yeah, I definitely say I try to pay attention to pop culture as a whole. Superhero movies, so on and so forth. Yeah. And I really feel like you can see, not all the time, but you can see normally where things are going early. With a movie like, I just had a great example and I forgot, but you have some movies like a Rogue One. Not to say that it was a bad movie, but you have things where it's kind of like, okay, they have to do a lot of reshoots and there's reports saying that the tone isn't right, so they have to fix it and that kind of thing. And with Into Darkness, it's not Khan. It's a totally new character you've never seen before. It's totally not Khan. It's like, why do you feel like you have to lie? It's kind of like just, okay, so you don't even really think like you're in the right place, so you're kind of shaky on that. But I mean, out of Discovery, it's just we know we're gonna need to take more time because we want to make sure we get this right. We don't want to rush this out. We respect canon. We're in canon. Just stick with us. Hear what we have to say first. And if normally those kind of things don't come out, and then it turns around and it turns out to be completely horrible. Yeah. Or they say, okay, at the end of this, by the way, the entire Klingon Empire was destroyed and was never seen or heard from again, and that's in complete contrast with everything else that we've seen. So they're not going to make any big mistakes, and I'm sure there'll be some very small things. But I mean,
sure. Yeah,
there's always is.
Yeah,
exactly.
It gives you something to complain about on the internet.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be things I can tell you right now. There's going to be holographic communication that's going to make me crazy. It's going to drive me crazy inside. I'm not going to be real loud about it because I'm not that kind of fan. But uh, there will be things that don't quite fit and will drive people insane. But I think you're right. I think the vibes coming from it, you know, to me, I get as excited watching. I was as excited watching the panel and the cast interviews as I was watching the trailer. Really, the trailer came first for me, but as I went back and I saw these interviews and the panel with them all up there together talking about the show, I was getting nothing but positive vibes. I felt like it was in really good hands, and yeah, I could sense the excitement coming from the people that were up there, and the passion and the dedication to it. You know, it does not feel like these people are just doing a job.
Yeah, they're not in it for a paycheck. There's something they definitely care about.
Yeah, exactly. That really comes through for me, and that leaves me really feeling good about it. You know, the trailer's awesome. Everything about the trailer's great for me. But the stuff that I saw from the people making it is what really has me like up to here, like pumped, like really on the right track. You know, the more of that comes out, the more excited I'm going to get, even more than like another trailer if we get another trailer. So yeah, kind of where I am.
Yeah. And another quick question: what do you think are any no-goes for the series in your eyes? Like, okay, there definitely, shouldn't be any Q. Or I know for some people it might be if we see a Constitution class, it needs to look more or less like a Constitution class. They're not going to go and change it and make it look what it would look like from progression of Discovery or that kind of thing. Do you have anything where it's like, that's definitely, I can't be on board for that. I'm putting my foot down in the sand. I will not accept this. I will unsubscribe from CBS All Access and burn my computer down.
Well, I don't know if I'll be that. I don't know. I guess for me, it's not so much I've said this before, the visual stuff. It's nice for it to be consistent, and I want it to be as consistent as possible, and I want it to be good. I want them to evolve it and make it as good as possible. But to me, as long as the story is consistent, as far as like, the short answer is canon violations, and not to sound like a canonista, like people call them. Having the Romulans pull up and have a Romulan come up on the view screen and have a conversation with Captain Lorca would bother me. Like, that would be like a no-go, like that kind of stuff, because that's like a clear violation of the Prime timeline canon. If they're wanting to be Prime timeline, a Borg cube showing up would not be good. That kind of stuff. Q showing up would not be good. They don't like that kind of stuff would worry me. That because that to me is like Enterprise suffered from this a little bit at the beginning. Having a Ferengi episode.
Hey, remember this.
Yeah, exactly. Like feeling the need to like just dive into the canon and pull things out and kind of ignore, does this really make sense? Because it was like the easy thing to do. I hope they're more creative than that. I hope they're more. And to me, it kind of almost doesn't even need to be said, because everything they're saying, they would completely have to go back on their word if they did stuff like that, because they're being so careful to say, we are respecting canon. This is the Prime timeline. We're respecting the timeline. But those are the things that would be the no-goes for me. If they pull up to a Constitution class ship, and it's not an exact like TOS Enterprise, but it's close. Like it's really close, but it's like spruced up a little bit. I'll be fine. I'm not going to get upset with that, as long as it's tasteful.
Yeah.
But the story canon stuff that's been clearly established, like that's kind of a no-go to me. That would worry me. But I have high level of confidence that that's not going to happen. What about you, Dan? Any
It's the same thing. Like, I feel like I don't want, like, I want them to weather the storm. What I mean by that is I don't want them to see, like, oh, this isn't going the way we hoped. Let's get some guest stars in here to help, get some ratings back. Guest stars, harken back, even more than they should. Like I feel like I want it to be tasteful, not
Yeah.
like every line be something from an episode somewhere. Like I want new stuff. I want them to be creative. So I guess I want them to weather the storm. I don't want them to
Panic
start
and
start pulling in so many people from, the Trek veterans. Definitely kind of step out of the spotlight and start something new.
yeah, I totally agree with that. Really well put. Weather the storm's a great way to put it because it's easy thing to do, and
Yeah.
if it's in the past and bringing in old stuff, and I don't think they need to do that. TNG actually was pretty good about that, with avoiding a lot of TOS connection, and letting it kind of stand on its own and develop its own voice.
Mm-hmm.
On
Subspace transmission breaking up.
Oh no,
stories, you
passing
kind
through
of
an
putting
asteroid
TNG
field.
spin on them, but it,
I think someone's jamming our transmission.
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah.
I think you're back.
Well said. Very
Oh,
eloquent.
oh,
no.
oh, we're back now.
we're
Playing
back.
games.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. Just to wrap up what I was saying, I guess it's just that I do what TNG did and stand on your own feet. Like don't call back to old stuff just to be cute.
Yep.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts? Been going for a little while here. Anything you want to wrap up with?
Well, I'd say just to kind of wrap up my bit as a guest that well, first off, thanks for having me on. Thank you so much. I hope everybody got something out of this. I think the big thing I'd say as not somebody who hasn't seen everything but is super excited for this is to just kind of hold on. There's aspects of the show that haven't been shown yet, and what's been shown, I assume that they'd have a reason. And everybody has something that bothers them, whether it's the tech stuff. I go through the Star Trek subreddit all the time, and they'll say things like, how are they going to get in 10 years from this to, TOS? They're not firing phaser beams or firing bolts. This is unacceptable. Just kind of wait and see. Maybe that's explained. If it's not, maybe as you see it, it makes sense. See maybe the way that it's done, it's supposed to be a reference to something else. Who knows? But just kind of wait. Give it a chance. If you've got a problem against corporate America, you don't want to buy CBS All Access, that's your own thing. But just give the show itself a chance.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, it looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Give the show a chance is kind of like the message of the day, I think. I kind of already went on my spiel about CBS All Access and all, but so I'll spare that. I won't do that again. But yeah, the show deserves like a fair shake. They're clearly doing it right. They're putting a lot of effort, a lot of resources, a lot of money behind it. To me, it looks like it rivals, Game of Thrones as far as production values go. It's a huge production that we've never seen before in the Trek, history. And it's being done by people who clearly love the show. The people behind the scenes, the writers are fans. They know what they know the canon. They know what makes Trek what it is. It's not being done by outsiders who are coming in to do it for a paycheck. I think it warrants a fair shake. And I think it warrants a shake beyond a trailer that shows, they shook up a couple of things. Yes, beyond. That word is like baked into my head now. I use it way more than I did 2 years ago. I just hope people give it a chance. I hope people have an open mind and forgive that the Klingons look a little different, and the ships look a little sleeker and a little more modern, and judge it on its merits as a show on its own, and look at what it what it does from a story perspective to enhance the Star Trek story. See how it connects to TOS. See what kinds of things they do. I think it could be great, even with the look changes that they've done. So, yeah,
Yep.
Be open-minded. Just to double back on what Jordan said.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel.
Yeah. I'm super excited about it. I couldn't be. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna shove it down people's throats to watch it, but I'm gonna be definitely an advocate. And I'm super excited to, see where it goes. Yeah. And I think, I just want to thank Jordan for coming on. Like it's not like it's cool that just out of the blue you asked and you're definitely down for it. So we're definitely thankful for you coming on and supporting the show like you do. So thanks.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's a lot easier to just say it than have to type it in that chat.
Yeah.
This is a great way to end the day. I had a big organic chemistry test, so it's good to kind of be able to come back and relax and think about Discovery in the future. As I'm working on my future, and it's just wrapped up in a perfect little bow of Star Trek.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
Yeah. So
Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
If any of the other Trek Live crew members want to find you, where can they find you? Like on.
Well, I can give you my street address if you want to come see where I live now.
I'll be there in like 20 hours.
This is interesting because I don't use social media a whole lot. I've always got something going on. I talk to Bill a lot. He's normally my creative outlet. I throw everything I think about onto him. But I have a Twitter. I think it's at jhay5. I think that's what it is. I'm probably wrong. I barely use it, but I'm somewhere on there. I follow Bill. I'm just kind of out and about. I've been trying to get into Twitter more, trying to actually have an account as opposed to just kind of lurking and watching all the Discovery news, dropping a like here and there. I love following what William Shatner says. I just love it. It's just it's great. But if anyone's interested, I'm definitely always there in the chat. I always try to participate. I love that this is live. You can really add something to it. So
appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate your participation. That you're here a lot, and you make points to stop by and you contribute when you're not guesting. If you're just in the chat, you always have things to say that are interesting and kind of drive the conversation a little bit, and definitely are thankful for that. Yeah, I guess like Dan said, we can't thank you enough for taking time and
thanks for having me on.
Yep. Well, guys, that's been episode 16. Definitely look out for more Trek Live content this weekend. Maybe during the week I'll do some Star Trek Online streaming. Definitely got some plans for that you guys are definitely gonna like. Definitely stop by this weekend. We'll see you guys somewhere in the galaxy and on Twitter. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thank you.